Before I get to what I'm going to say, I just want to say, Jim, I know you had a really bad week. And do you remember the days when we worked at the Post, when we would have a really bad week, like such a bad week that you couldn't even talk to anybody at the end of the week? And you give me a call just to touch base, and you'd say, okay, it's like a super Whopper with a triple drink and quadruple fries. And I'd say, yeah, I'm in my bed with a bag of candy and People magazine. So I hope you get the same this week. I'm just going to say a few things about audience, demographics, and developing revenues. I'm often accused, perhaps fairly so, of evangelizing about the newspaper industry or the newspaper media industry. Maybe that's true, but I'm just going to give you the facts today, and you can draw your own conclusions. Let's see.
No, it was the last slide.
Oh.
It was the last slide.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, somehow. I noticed that.
Maybe I should do it. What do we do?
I think it was somehow.
There we go.
Oh, okay. So I'm not going to use that.
Okay.
Forget it.
Here, hang on. Let's do this stuff. Okay.
Okay.
No, it's the last slide.
Here, there we go.
Oh, I see. Got it. How much you want to bet? Okay.
You want?
I'll try. So 79, these are just print numbers, okay? And we all acknowledge, I acknowledge that print is declining. Print readership is declining, yet it's still, they're very, very healthy numbers. 137 million Americans read print in the last week. And what's interesting is for 18 to 24-year-olds, that was 46%. If you look at online, digital, mobile, and print, or sorry, just digital, it's 161. So print is strong, and you know, just as Penny said, I strongly believe that we have two businesses. One is printing the newspaper and delivering it to our customers, and the other is digital and mobile businesses. But let's talk a little bit more about what those businesses might be. Okay, so the audiences are generally spreading and vastly and quickly. Print only is only 54%, but then all the other left side of that slide shows all the various combinations. Mobile is growing by far the fastest. More platforms, more audience, that's pretty obvious. But you see it's going up about 7% just in the last year. Okay, so this is in response to, well, you know, younger people just don't read the newspaper. People do read the newspaper in print. They do read it online and digitally. And I would submit that it's really important not to get too involved in print versus digital or versus mobile. You know, if I read an article in the New York Times this morning, I might have read it on my handheld, I might have read the newspaper, or I might have, you know, read it on my laptop. It doesn't really matter. It does from a business standpoint, but from a reader standpoint and a branding standpoint, I think it doesn't matter as much, and I think we need to be very careful about creating this kind of pitting each area against the other. 1/4 of digital audiences are mobile exclusive. That means they only look at mobile. I suspect that number is just going to continue to increase. So let me make this clear. The audiences for newspaper media could never be better. They have never been better. And, you know, one could say the internet attacked our model. I think the internet has been one of the greatest things to happen to the American consumer, or the planet maybe. It's been tough on our industry, but it's not looking as bad as some people say. I don't know if you read this recent Pew study or the executive summary that came out in the last week. $38 million, or almost $37 million, billion dollars in the news business come from newspapers. It's primarily advertising, but some circulation as well. Now, this is where I want to talk about revenues a little bit. there was a model of 80% print and 80% print circulation, which pretty much defined our business for a long time. And those lines, and I think if you talk to anybody, any publisher, they will acknowledge that print advertising is and will continue to decline, particularly on the national side, and that print circulation outside of Sunday circulation may continue to decline a bit. But there's what's been happening in the last 7 years, and I want to show you just this slide that shows, okay, the left side, that's from 2007. That's 7 years ago. And that shows sort of the 80%, 20%, if you will, model of print advertising and print circulation. This is 2012. That's 5 years later. You can't tell me that this industry is not transforming at a very quick rate. Yes, print advertising is down. Yes, any publisher will tell you in the last many years that print is going to come down. But look at those other areas. Circulation was up 2012 over 2011 because, yes, people are willing to pay for content. There's a bunch of other new businesses. Digital advertising is up. And there are other businesses like digital agencies, like events. Those are the kinds of businesses that take the trust that newspapers have in a community and turn it into a business that can support its other operations. And so I would just looking at this slide, this shows a lot of transformation. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it hard? Absolutely. Do things like what's going on at Digital First Media happen? Absolutely. And frankly, as they should, because if they're not happening, I'm sorry, Jim, I don't wish that on you, but if people aren't experimenting, we're never going to get there. So I'll rest my case on that. But, so I was thinking 4 things I wanted to tell you from my little conversation here. We have huge audiences, and our audiences have never been better. So we deliver in key demographic areas, including 18 to 34-year-olds, in print and online. Our revenues are diversifying rapidly, and more than half of all news revenues come from newspaper media. The last thing I'm going to say is, you know, this notion that newspapers, when they had a business model, I think, with 80% revenues coming from print advertising is a little dangerous when you've got that much money coming from an area. But remember, the difference is that there wasn't a lot of competition. The internet has given a lot more competition, and newspaper media are responding to that a little later than one might have hoped, perhaps, but it's really happening. So that's it.